Trapmore gang, for a minute it looked like we might be getting justice for the murder of Julio Foolio, the disrespectful Jacksonville rapper who lost his life in a huge feud with Young and Ace. And, he got killed in a very public shooting on...
This case specifically, I don't know much about it, but from what I know, it's alleged that Foolio had a birthday party, he posted his location, and then his enemies, people that wanted to have him shot, came and they shot him at his birthday party location that he had shared via social media.
On his birthday, just a couple of years ago now, and everybody's been wondering, is there going to be justice for Foolio? Well, the first person, the girl, the alleged woman who maybe set things up and provided support for some of the guys that actually went and did the shooting that took his life, she ended up going to trial. She ended up getting convicted of manslaughter, but now we're finding out that actually she might be getting off scot-free. She might get no jail time whatsoever. She was set to face quite a significant period in prison, and now it sounded like things might be working out just right for the woman that some people believe actually set up Julio Foolio to lose his life. So it was not too long ago that basically about 6 months ago from now, when I'm making this video, Alicia Andrews, the woman, that's her there in the middle at the bottom, who was accused of lining up the Julio Foolio murder, she basically made the decision to take it to trial. So she was offered 18 years to snitch. She apparently refused, and her trial started 6 months ago. She was facing life, not the death penalty like the others. And at the time, everybody thought this would be a huge mistake. People saying she's going to regret this. There's way too much evidence. They said the prosecutors are rubbing their hands together like Birdman. Okay, that's what they were saying. They're saying she's a real solid hoe. I don't know about that. Okay, it says Guttersay should have told her to snitch so she can take care of their kid. One day, since they already cooked in this situation, now she's getting life with no parole. Says she realer than Queso's daddy, man. Queso's own father told her, and that was one of the craziest things I've ever seen. Okay, says she kept it more solid than J-Dot, Ace, K-Shorty, and Fifi.
With the Queso case and his father having snitched on him, a lot of people failed to speak of the fact that they already had been incarcerated for 2 years before he came to the decision of snitching. Within those 2 years, they should have planned as to how they were going to approach the case in preparation for their release or way forward, but they didn't. After those 2 years, his father decided to snitch.
You can't make this up. But she would eventually run some pretty interesting maneuvers. She would basically take this to trial, and she didn't end up getting convicted of the full-blown murder, but she was convicted of manslaughter. So shout out to the YouTube channel, I Am Not a Lawyer, but who covered this on their channel, and basically they explained that her legal team actually managed to freeze her sentencing after she got the manslaughter conviction by filing an appeal immediately. So she was actually playing a pretty smart move, and it might have just paid off. Listen to this.
Her attorneys start off by saying Judge Sisko's bias showed up as early as jury selection for this trial, and according to them, this bias resulted in Alicia having an almost all-white jury. They say that even though the judge was aware that this case would heavily involve rap music and rap lyrics, when the defense wanted to strike potential jurors who said they didn't understand rap music or rap lyrics, the judge denied their request. And the attorneys say that was only the beginning of the judge's bias for this trial. They argue that for opening statements, Judge Sisko allowed the prosecutors to go well over the 1 hour time frame that she said each side would have for their openings. And when the defense attempted to bring this up during a sidebar, Judge Sisko apparently told them she never said they only had an hour. The problem is she did say that, and it was captured on video during a hearing before the trial started.
Transform your business with Yellowfin dashboards, the best way to monitor and understand your data and drive action.
Yeah.
So this video footage will most likely provide contradiction regarding the time frame for statements. The 1 hour that she initially said that they allowed, and then afterwards I say no, that she didn't say 1 hour was the permitted time.
And then on opening statements.
Yeah, there is a time limit on opening statements. You guys each have 1 hour.
Thank you.
Okay.
So the prosecutors ended up going for about 2 hours for their opening, and the defense went for about 40 minutes. Next, Alicia's attorneys argued that Judge Sisko repeatedly refused to hear their objections, and when they would ask for a sidebar to discuss the objections in a way that the jury couldn't hear, she still told them no.
WAWG, that is the same case where it's known as Teresa.
No, the door was open. No. No, I've ruled. No, the door's been opened. I just am ruling the door's been opened, okay? No, you may proceed.
And according to them, this is an issue because it affects their ability to appeal the case. Follow me. So when a lawyer makes an objection in a trial, it's their way of saying, hey, judge, I have a legal problem with what's happening right now. That's how it gets on the transcript or on the record. So there's now a written record of the attorney voicing a legal concern of something when it was happening. It's what the attorneys call preserving the record. Now, if an attorney doesn't object when something is happening, the law generally understands that to mean that the attorney is fine with what's happening, and not raising an objection during a trial generally means that issue can't later on be brought up as a reason to appeal. So in this instance, Alicia's attorneys are saying the judge blocked us from objecting, blocked us from going to sidebar, and that essentially means she's blocked us from preserving this issue or trying to bring this issue up later as a
trial or court proceedings are generally documented or recorded via means of audio recording. If it's a high-profile case, it's video recorded, and then there's also documentation pertaining to the case specifics, all of which are used as evidence throughout the case.
A reason to appeal. Did you follow that? And on top of that, Alicia's attorneys say when they tried to ask the legal grounds as to why the state was raising objections, the judge just wouldn't answer.
These two rifles, what are they connected to?
So I concluded that, sorry, let me refer my notes, I apologize. That the...
Where they connected to is vague.
I'm going to sustain the objection, rephrase.
What is the purpose of showing these rifles to the jury? What is the purpose of showing why there's a safety on this firearm, on these rifles? I don't even know what the objection is at this point. There's no legal basis. It's just an objection.
She actually was speaking Spanish to my counsel.
It was elicited in front of the jury.
If I allow the witness to testify,
And if it's relevant, then I should be able to cross-examine on it.
I'm going to stay.
Can we come sidebar?
No.
I can't argue. I can't come sidebar.
Mr. McClyman, please stop. It's improper.
So look, as much as she's got a bad case and she's, there's a lot of evidence in this situation, it does sound like her lawyers were getting steamrolled in the courtroom. It does sound like they weren't given opportunities to argue in ways that maybe should have been allowed in the courtroom, and this is all going to work in her favor. All of this built up, and it's leading to a pretty powerful appeal.
Yeah, as he said, the lawyers weren't given a fair chance or supposed fair chance of speaking, but generally speaking, in most cases, your representation doesn't get a chance to speak as much or upon what they want to all the time, or most of the time.
I asked to come sidebar.
And the answer is no, we don't need to sidebar it. If the witness was permitted to testify something, that makes it relevant and admissible.
I'm not arguing that, Judge. I just want to talk to her about what she testified to.
Listen, I've sustained the objection. Ask your next question.
Okay, next. Alicia's attorneys say the judge showed bias in that she rushed them through cross-examination of witnesses and rushed them through the presentation of their case. As a specific example, they point to the judge telling Alicia's attorney to fast forward a video he was trying to play while cross-examining the lead detective on the case.
Okay, stop. Is there a question on the table?
I'm waiting until I'm publishing it to the jury, and I'm waiting until it gets to a part that I can ask a question.
Can we get to that part and then you ask the question?
Judge, I did an entire interview yesterday for an hour and 22 minutes without a question. I'm just trying to get to a particular part. I want the jury to see what's happening now, and then I'm going to ask a question about it.
Great. Can we get to that part?
That's what I'm trying to do.
Okay, well, we're not just going to play it. Can we fast forward to the part?
Our universe is vast, full of challenges and opportunities, and you are at its center.
In addition to that, The attorneys say the judge told the jury on more than one occasion that the attorneys would be done with their cases and the jury would be deliberating no later than Friday, October 31st.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna break a little early. Let's have good news, bad news. So we're gonna break a little early, but I'm gonna get this case to you for the end of the week, okay? Which means we're gonna start at 8:30 tomorrow morning. We may have a long day tomorrow, just letting you know, but I am gonna get this case to you before the end of the week. I promise you that, okay?
And they highlight this because the judge told the jury this before the defense had called all of their witnesses and before they made their
Yeah, generally speaking, a judge will be biased towards these type of cases, especially if it's street-related or gang-related or involving rappers. So that's not to be unexpected.
judgment of acquittal. And so, according to them, this arbitrary timeline pressured them to shorten or abbreviate their case, which they argue is unfair because 1, prosecutors got 6 days, and 2, because defendants are entitled to properly defending themselves.
So there was a whole bunch of reasons and a whole bunch of arguments as to why Alicia Andrews and her defense basically weren't really given a fair shake in the courtroom. Now, look, I am a fan of Julio Foolios. I was very sad at what happened. I do want to see justice for that. But there was some shenanigans going on in that courtroom. There was definitely some shenanigans going on in there, and it definitely does make me think that maybe, as far as justice and due process goes, maybe some of the right things weren't done. I think that's very reasonable. Now, interestingly enough, in another massive development...
In every courtroom and court case, there are generally shenanigans that go on.
After the fact, we would hear this news, okay? This was very interesting. It came out that the judge presiding over that Julio Foolios murder case has been removed, okay? And this was apparently after an appellate court did actually find evidence of bias. So, this makes you wonder, can we really trust what's going on? Now, the good thing is, this judge has been removed before we basically got to the point where the other guys who were the shooters are going to trial, which I think is very important. But it does call into question the validity of the Alicia Andrews outcome. So this says the lawyer for Alicia Andrews, who was convicted of manslaughter in October, is now seeking a whole new trial. Man, rest in peace to Foolio. Said a petition to remove Judge Michelle Cisco from the Julio Foolios murder case has actually been granted by an appellate court in Florida. After being found guilty of manslaughter in October following an 8-day trial, Alicia Andrews' lawyer Jeremy McLyman called for a delay in sentencing as well as the disqualification of Cisco due to hostile comments and obvious bias, as reported by Legal Affairs and Trial with Megan Cunniff. Chief Judge Christopher Sabella has been ordered to appoint a whole new judge, and this is the decision here. Basically, it's an order of the court prohibiting Judge Michelle Cisco from presiding further in the case. They're basically saying they're moving on. They will immediately appoint a successor judge under the Florida law, and this has been certified. So it says, according to Cunniff, McLyman argued in his petition that Cisco had failed to act with cold neutrality and did everything in its power to ensure that Miss Andrews was convicted by humiliating her legal team and treating the defense's witness more harshly than the prosecution's witnesses. Even though Andrew was was acquitted of first-degree murder in the fatal shooting of Julio Foolios, she still faced up to 15 years on a manslaughter conviction. 3 days prior to Judge Cisco's scheduled sentencing date, an appellate court granted McLyman's request for a delay, while prosecutors were given 30 days to show cause why the judge should not be disqualified. McLyman applauded the court for making the right decision and suggested plans to push for a whole new trial. Everyone is entitled to a fair trial, including Miss Andrews, and we're convinced that a new trial should be granted after some litigation at the trial or at the appellate level. So I do think this is very, very fascinating and interesting. I think based on some of those clips that I showed you in this video, listen, I am biased. I'm a big fan of Julio, okay? I'm a big fan of Young and Ace 2, not picking sides, but at the same time, I am biased in terms that I do want there to be justice for what happened to Julio. I do want the people responsible, whether it's the people that backdoored and set it up, whether it's people that gave the location, whether it's people that were just moving loose and brought the wrong people around, or the shooters. I want everybody involved in that situation to face justice in the right way. And I do think that justice is important. It goes both ways. I want the shooters to be convicted on a very fair basis based on what actually happened, and it looks like there's a whole lot of evidence against them. But I also don't want them to be unfairly treated with a bias that means that we're not actually getting true justice in the way it should be dished out. Alicia Andrews, I feel like she should have lost she should have lost fair and square. And based on those clips that I looked at, it's actually hard to say that she lost that trial fair and square, to be completely honest with you. And even though part of me might have been disappointed in the outcome, but I do feel like justice is more important than, you know, people's feelings or me wanting justice for Julio. And realistically, I do think, based on those clips that I've just seen, I feel like maybe a new trial might actually be warranted. So let me know what you guys think, man. That was just a quick little update. I'll be back on another video for you guys in probably a couple of hours. Thank you so much for watching, and stay locked in, because gonna drop some excellent content for you guys in the next week or so, okay? So just stay tuned, stay locked in. Thank you so much for watching. I'll keep you updated on this situation as it develops. And